What is going on, guys? Welcome back to the channel. Today on Flake Garage we're going to be installing power locks into my Mazda B2000. This process is going to apply also to the Mazda B2200, so you should be good to go with this guy. The kit we bought today for this install is going to be the Install Gear door lock kit. This kit is actually for 4 doors. We're obviously only going to use 2 of them, and the extra actuators you can just save them, and in case one of your actuators goes bad you can just replace it. I'm gonna link to everything that I'm using right now at the bottom. So if you guys are gonna think about buying and doing this process, please consider using our link, because that helps our channel. It doesn't cost you anything extra, but it's gonna help us keep making some great content like this. So let's move on into the kit. I'll show you everything that comes with the kit, and then we'll move on to the truck and start doing the install. Let's do it. Okay guys, so here I have the kit all outside of the box. As you can see, we're going to have our wiring diagram, our central lock box, 2 actuators. One is going to have 4 cables, and that's going to be your main actuator for the driver's side door. And then you have your other 3 actuators that come with the kit. Obviously we're only going to use this 2, and we're going to save this 2 for a later date, or in case one of those 2 goes bad. You have your 2 keys here, some hardware, a little pad to stick your control box somewhere inside the cab, your wiring, which is very important, and then some more hardware to connect the actuators into the truck. Now this whole kit is actually pretty affordable, and the range somewhere between $30 to $40, depending if you get it in a sale or not. Sometimes you might be able to find it cheaper on Amazon as well. And there are other options out there where you can find it kind of in separate pieces, where it's the actuators by themselves and then just the central lock by itself, which comes out under $30. But something I want to tell you guys about that is that keep in mind that sometimes when you buy it separate like that, it does not come with the wiring, and this is the main wiring you're going to need. So if you do have some extra wiring laying around and you want to just kind of piece together that part, you can definitely find this kit for cheaper than $30. I'll link to some of the separate pieces that I have found that are a little bit cheaper. So if you want to go that route, you're welcome to do that. Or if you want to just buy a ready-to-go kit, just get this one. So now that you know what the kit comes with, let's move on to the truck and start doing one of the doors off so I can show you guys. So here we have my door panel. As you can see, I already went a little bit ahead and removed the window crank, my door handle and everything. And then we're gonna go ahead and remove all my bolts that I did from my Password GDM install. If you guys haven't seen that one, I'll link to it on the top so you guys can check it out if you want to do that. My truck did not come with the original panels, so I ended up having to do this just to make it a little bit neater and just cooler looking, in my opinion. So check that one out if you haven't. So we're gonna go ahead and remove this, and then we can start getting into installing at least one of the actuators. Let's go. Alright guys, so here we have the panel off. Everything is cleaned up, and we are about to be basically messing with this bar right here. This controls your lock and unlock, so up and down. So we need to find a place that we can put our actuator here, strap it down, make sure it's out of the way from anything that's moving, from the door panel itself, from the window. We don't want to drill anything that's going to block it from coming down or going back up. And then once we find a good spot, which most likely might be somewhere around here or potentially somewhere around here, then we can attach the hardware that comes with the kit, make sure it has good movement going up and down, and then we can start going ahead and moving our wiring into the truck. But first we'll take care of this door, and then we'll move on to that process. Let's do it. Now remember guys, I'm starting right now on the passenger side because the way my truck's in my garage right now, that's easiest to me. So on the passenger side, make sure you're using the actuator with just 2 wires on it. The one that has 4 wires is going to go on the driver's side, so we're going to use that one a little bit later. So just make sure you have the one with 2 wires, and then that one was going to go on the passenger side. So let's go ahead and try to mock this up, and then move on to the next step. Okay guys, so I want to show you some of the progress here I made now. I have made 2 marks right here. We're gonna have to drill there, and the reason why we're gonna have to drill there is because initially when I took this, I was gonna put it right here. It fit perfect. The brackets fit perfect from here to here. Everything was fitting good there. And then you can have your bar going up and attached to that very nicely. The only problem was when I lowered the window, the bottom part of it, not even most of it, just this bottom part right here. See if I can focus on my hand here. This part right here was hitting the glass. So the window was only lowering to about right there, and you couldn't go any lower than that. Well, you could go lower than that. I actually lowered it all the way to the bottom, and it was fine, but it was hitting that part, which is not gonna be good, especially if you add later on maybe like power windows or something like that. That's not gonna be cool. So we're gonna not use that spot, and we're gonna move into here. Here, when we put this in here, we're gonna put it through the inside of it, and it should be enough space from both of them and away from the glass to not hit it if you lower it all the way to the bottom, and then also give us a good nice space to go up and down with the power locks. So let's go ahead and drill that part, and then we'll attach it, and I'll show you guys how everything's gonna be put together in there. All right guys, so we have the actuator in place now, and if we pull this down, up, down, up. So that's gonna be great to have it in that place. Now there's gonna be outside of the way of the glass. It's not gonna hit it in any way. And we did this holes with a 1/8 drill bit. So that's all you need, just a 1/8 drill bit, get it in there. I put this on the outside, mark the spots, and then drill to put that in there. So now on the bar, I cut it about halfway. Let me see, here is the other bit of it. It's almost halfway, and then we're gonna line it up here. I already did my little mark, if you can see here. And from there, we're gonna twist it to go parallel with this other bar. That way, when we put our other little lock mechanism in there, which is this one, we're gonna be able to just put it up and down, and it'll be all nice and out of the way and ready to go. Okay guys, so here we have our bar and linkage all set up. Our actuator is in the down position. Our lock is basically on the lock position now too. So that's a quick tip. Make sure everything is locked if the actuator is going to be down, or make sure everything is up, unlocked if the actuator is up. So now if we pull this, we hear that and go down, unlocked and locked. So everything is working good now. The glass does not hit anything with the glass, so everything is good to go on this side. We can now move on to the driver's side and do the exact same process over there. Now here, as you can see, we have my driver's side door completely off. And if you notice, at least compared to my passenger side, I do have a lot more of this black residue from the plastic that's supposed to be in there. Unfortunately, my truck did not come with those plastics. So if yours has it, that's something to keep in mind, that where I drilled my holes initially for the passenger side, it's technically where this little black rubber should be. So you might have to do it just a little bit next to it so you don't get rid of that. But just something to keep in mind, I don't have it. I'm probably not going to replace it anytime soon. I try not to drive my truck in the rain and stuff like that, so I'm not too worried about that. But that's something that, you know, definitely want to let you guys know, that keep in mind with that plastic if you do still have it on yours. Now we are going to go ahead and mark our spots here for where we need to drill, place the actuator where it needs to go, and then we'll move on to actually installing it in there. So let's do that. Now remember guys, for the driver's side, we need to make sure we have the actuator with the 4 wires. We're gonna mock it up right now here where it needs to go, and then we're gonna drill the holes for it. So let's do it. Okay guys, so we are all nice and done with the driver's side. Let me show you here really quick what we did. We have our actuator in place. It's all going nice and secure here. We have our hardware. I did add some blue Loctite to the hardware just to make sure it's not going to back up, and it's removable in case I do need to service this. But as you can see, my window is all the way down, nothing is hidden back here, and then we can go ahead and just lock and unlock, lock and unlock. So we are good there. Now I do want to say that for the wiring, as far as I know, no Mazdas came with factory door speakers. I could be wrong, so if you know some that came with that, please let me know in the comments. But if you have not done door speakers to your Mazda, one, I recommend you do it. It just makes the car sound a lot better, have better audio. Or if you want another option to that, you can do the B-pillar mod for the speakers, and I'll link to that one on the top so you guys know how to do it. I added to my trucks just for some extra sound, so check that one out if you haven't. But that means that there's no wiring going from the door to the cabin and vice versa. So you're gonna have to drill some kind of hole to pass that wire through for the door locks in case you don't have speakers. And let me show you how mine is set up right now really quick. Mine here, as you can see, there's a hole that was drilled out. Here's the wiring going for the speakers, and the previous owner did this. It's not too bad, it's not terrible, but you can tell that they tried to do it here on the bottom and that didn't work. And they also kind of drill a hole on this side of the door, and that just looks bad too. So don't do that. You don't need to drill anything on this door. There is 2 flaps on this top part that are kind of like ventilation flaps. I would say use those flaps, and then that way you don't have to worry about it. You only drill 1 hole in here. This is not terrible. If you can put a rubber grommet to prevent any water from going in, I recommend you do that. I'm probably going to do that at some point on this one, but for right now it's okay. So we can now move on to looking at the wiring that we have and how we're going to route that in. So let's move on to that. Okay guys, here we have the wiring. Now it might look a little scary, but don't worry about it. We're going to explain exactly what each part does. This is obviously the part that's going to be connected to your control unit. That's fine, we don't need to touch that at all. Here we have our power and ground. Now the ground does go to the main actuator as well, so you'll see a black cable over here going to this other one. That's okay, that's how it's supposed to be. If you grab your manual, it's going to explain everything as well. So from here, there's 2 wires we don't need to worry about, and that's going to be the brown and white wires that are attached up here. Leave those like that, you're not going to need them. Here is our main actuator. That one, it's all tied together. This is all the cables that are going to go into the first actuator on the driver door. Here we have this violet or purple one. That's supposed to be for your parking lights. You can decide if you want to install those or not. And also the orange one, it's gonna be for the trunk. So obviously we have no trunk. We're not have to worry about that orange cable at all. The rest of the wires is gonna be the plugs for your other actuators. So from here we really only need 1. The other 2 are gonna be useless because we don't have back doors. So it's up to you if you want to cut that out, leave it as is, roll it up, put it somewhere in there. I guess you can decide what you want to do with that. Alright guys, so we're trying to do the wiring and figure out where it's going to be the best position for it, but I just wanted to give you a quick tip on this as well. You actually don't need to use the actuator with the 5 wires on the driver door. The only time you're going to use it basically is if you're planning to put a switch inside the car to control the door locks from there. If you're not planning to do that, if you want to just keep it with the remote, then you literally can just use any actuator here and it's still gonna lock and unlock. So it's up to you. You give it that option. We are gonna put the 5 wires in here because I do plan to add a switch at some point, so might as well leave it in there and then we'll just route the wires the way they are right now. So let's try to find the best location and we'll start doing the routing. We got all the wiring situated now. I'm going to show you here really quick what we're doing. And we have our actuator. We are running our wire to the front of the door here. Get a couple zip ties behind your window rail. Make sure nothing is going to be touching your window rail. We have a zip tie along the panel here to prevent hitting or getting in contact with the window. And then we're moving it all the way over here. Now, as you can tell here, I ran the wires through the outside of the original loom I had there, and then I came back and put tape all over it. Make sure it's going to be good. This part is sharp, so we don't want to have any cables rubbing and, you know, running the risk of getting exposed and you know, damaging the whole system. So we have it nice and wrapped up. It's going to be nice and weatherproof. The wires are coming up into this little hole. It's going to be really hard to see here, but there's a little hole on this side where if you stick a bar, and this is the bar that comes with the kit, so you don't have to get anything else. You literally stick this bar up there. You'll see it kind of wiggle on the top, and then basically tape your wires and then pull them back out. I did use this wire as well. This was from the original kit as well. This is the one that opens the trunk. We obviously don't have a trunk to open with this little pickup, so we don't have to worry about that one. I just cut it off, and then what I did is I zip tied it to the top of it, and then I pulled the wire from the other side, basically coming out kind of like a U shape here. One through here and then one through the top. Then from there we pull all the wires in there. It's very manual, very tedious, but it looks nice and clean, as you can see here. After that, we ran all the wires through the top. Everything, oh ouch, everything is zip tied. I zip tied one, is gonna be hard to see here, but to the column out of any moving parts. As you can see, some of the wires are coming out here. I zip tied in there, and the only reason why this looks like this here is because we kind of got a little bit ahead of ourselves and we did the wiring for that door before we actually kind of relocated everything. So to avoid that, just make sure you're doing one door at a time, and then route all the extra wires the way you need them, and that way it'll be a lot cleaner. We were already in too deep, so we decided to just zip tie it here. Now we did remove, actually let me show you the passenger door really quick too. So here we are looking at the passenger door. Same thing, actuator. We have our cables running towards the front of here to make sure there's not going to be no contact with the window behind the rails as well. Zip tied all along there just to make sure it's out of the way, and out into the front speaker loom I already had as well. As you can see, I again came back in and taped it all up, make sure it's nice and weather proof, make sure no water is going to get in there. And then same deal that we did on the driver's side, we just stuck that little rod up this place and then zip tied, or I'm sorry, taped the cables and then pulled them in and then ran them all the way to here. Now the cables here are running all along this edge, zip tied to some of the other cables that is in there. And then we're gonna install our unit right here in the center behind the stereo. The reason why we're gonna go with that, there's a very good grounding point here. There's our ground. Here is the ground for the stereo. That's the ground for the new locking system. And then we also have a constant power that goes to the radio, which is what we're going to use to connect our locking mechanism to it. That way we don't have to extend any cables. We don't have to do anything extra as far as going out to the battery. It's going to be the most ready to go way about it. So obviously, to get to that, if you have the center console, you're going to have to get rid of it. You know how to get all this stuff off. If you don't, check out some of the other videos. We'll link to it on the top. But we are now basically ready to go. We just need to finish installing this to our constant, wrapping everything back up, putting all the door panels back in place, and we are pretty much good to go. All right guys, so I'm gonna show you here. There is 2 bolts back here on the Mazda. I just took one of them off, flipped this little thing to the side and just install it right there. My antenna is going through the inside straight up back here, so then we should get pretty good reception. Our power wire is connected into the constant wire over here. Ground is connected. We are pretty much good to go. We're gonna wrap everything here, put everything back together, and then do the final on and off, so you can see it's working good. So all right guys, so we have our door nice and locked now. I'm gonna get there. We have our remote, we can unlock it, and the door is unlocked now. And then if we close it back up, and your truck is nice and locked. So that's all you need to do to add power locks to your truck. It's an upgrade that is totally worth it. It's only about $30 or so. So we'll link to everything that we use on the description, so check that out. Also, I want to give a massive shout out to our buddy Grant. He was following us on Instagram, and we helped each other with a couple things from his Mazda, and he sent me this trim piece that goes on the back of the seats. My truck did not have this piece. I can show you where it goes in here. If I unlock my truck, there you go. That is the piece that goes right here, and it's gonna be handy because whenever I decide to switch to a black carpet and change the interior of it, we're gonna put that piece in there. So awesome, thanks a lot, Grant. We sent him a sticker out there, so hopefully he'll get it soon and just put it on his truck. But massive shout out, thank you. So if you guys want to just kind of talk to us on a day-to-day, maybe you need some help and you want a little bit quicker answer than just going through YouTube, follow us on Instagram. We'll link in the description or right on the side. And that's all we have today. That's all you need to do to install your power lugs. Hopefully this helps you out when you're trying to do it, and we'll catch you guys on the next one. Bye. An upgrade that is totally worth it. It's not very expensive. Let me pick up my keys real quick. That sucks.